Is it really possible for a tiny tweak to your morning coffee routine to ignite your metabolism and put your body into full fat-burning mode for the rest of the day?
Check out the link in the video description now and transform your morning coffee into a metabolism-boosting super drink.
On the day Gareth Jones bravely took to the witness box to detail the appalling campaign of abuse he had suffered at the hands of his former girlfriend, student nurse Sarah Rigby, he received a text message from one of her many long-term partners. "That must have been hard," it read. "Now I know that what she did to you was exactly the same as what she did to me. Even the toothpaste and Listerine." Those present in Chester Crown Court last month were horrified to hear an emotional Gareth, 40, talk of how the remorseless Rigby, 41, who is a mother of 6, subjected her boyfriend to a barrage of humiliation that ranged from forcing him to swallow toothpaste and mouthwash, frisking him as he left the house, restricting what he ate and preventing him from showering or using the toilet at home. They also heard how she attacked him with a glass candle holder scarring the bridge of his nose, kicked, bit, scratched and clawed at him, controlled his finances and made him sleep on the floor without a duvet when he was unable to satisfy her sexual needs. She would verbally abuse him too, calling him a fat whale. There were numerous vile texts and numerous demands for sex. She wanted sex all the time, 5, 6 times a day, he tells me, talking for the first time about her reign of terror. "Even when I was trying to work from home as a project manager for the NHS, she'd say, 'No, you can't go on a meeting right now because we need to have sex,'" he says. The police said this was one of the worst cases of coercive control because of the speed of it, Gareth says. "We now know she'd been practicing and perfecting her craft for years." 2 previous partners had offered to give evidence for the prosecution about her relentless abuse. However, further testimony was no longer required when Rigby changed her plea from not guilty to guilty. Gareth says Rigby even showed him a picture of a suicide note a third boyfriend of hers had written, though the reasons for his suicide are not clear. In truth, Gareth knows he's blessed to have emerged from this toxic relationship. For he admits that when their relationship did eventually end, at first he wanted nothing more than to walk into the traffic and die. 2 years of psychotherapy followed and, today, he remains on anti-anxiety medication. It is why he is giving this interview in his mother Diane and stepfather John's home. Diane, a generous-hearted woman, has been to hell and back these past 3 years. She couldn't sleep for worrying and regularly pleaded with Gareth to leave Rigby, who called her a vile interfering witch, by text. "We kept saying this is wrong. You have to leave," but that's easier said than done. Even when he came home and was suicidal he'd say, "It's not really her fault. I need to tell her I'm sorry I went to the police. I need to help her. She looked like a little China doll, a butter wouldn't melt type, but she was evil." We now know he wasn't alone. She is a serial abuser. Gareth says he will always be mentally and emotionally scarred, confessing that he feels nervous sharing the terrible detail of their 9-month relationship given the stigma associated with male victims of domestic violence. But he is determined to give this interview as a warning to other men. "My friends and family say, 'Why didn't you leave earlier?' But you get sucked in and it's as if you're in a kind of spell. I can now see the red flags were there from the start." If this interview helps even one person recognize the signs and get out of an abusive relationship before it's too late, I'm happy. Gareth, a keen rugby player who in his youth played for Wales, was sociable, single and in a well-paid job as a project manager for the NHS when he met Rigby on online dating site Plenty of Fish in June 2021. After recently coming out of a 2.5-year relationship, Gareth hoped to meet someone with whom he could start a family. Rigby told him she wanted the same as they messaged for 2 weeks. She also told me she was 33. It turns out she was 39. She told me she owned the detached 5-bedroom house. She didn't. It was in her father's name. She'd send pictures of her and the children in the paddling pool. She had 5 then, but she didn't tell me in the beginning there was more than one father. When he met her on their first date in July at a restaurant, he tells me his first reaction was, "Wah."